In the first part of this section, we went over conditional statements and how they can be used to dictate the parts of the code that are being run based on conditions that evaluate to either true or false. We will now expand our discussion on control flow by covering loops. There are two kinds of loops in Python, the for loop and the while loop. We'll start this off by using the for loop. A for loop can iterate through over any iterable. What is an iterable? Well, as the name suggests, anything that we can iterate through, anything that can return one of its elements at a time. That includes lists, strings, dictionaries, tuples, etc. We'll start our example by iterating over a list. In Jupyter Notebook, declare a list months is equal to January, February, and March. We can iterate through this list by using a for loop. That is, by writing for month in months. So for every month inside of our months list, we're going to print the month. This variable month corresponds to the month inside of our list that's currently being iterated through. If I run the cell, clearly it looped through our entire list, and one at a time it printed January, February, and March. Notice how this line of code is indented, and that's because, just like how we had it with if statements, this corresponds to the body of the for loop, such that this indented block of code is invoked once for every single element of our iterable, and each element, at the moment that it's being iterated through, is represented by an iteration variable that we explicitly declare to be called the month. You can name your iteration variable anything you like. A common recommended pattern is to name it something that's singular to our list, as we did here. We can also iterate through a range. We saw ranges in the slicing video when we learned how to create a list from a range of numbers. Well, we can iterate through a range of numbers by simply writing for number in range 0 to 100. And then we're simply going to print all the numbers from 0 to 99. That is, print number. Run the code, and clearly it iterated through our entire range, and one at a time it printed 0, 1, 2, 3 all the way till 99. And each number, at the moment that it's being iterated through, is represented by the number iteration variable when it's being printed. So far we looked at two iterable types that we can loop through, ranges and lists. Do note that we don't always have to make use of our iteration variable. You can print something like hello, for example. It doesn't matter. For loops so far, we've used them to extract elements. We can also use them to create elements. We'll demonstrate this by creating a variable, names, is equal to a list. My list will be Hillary, Diana, and Brian. Our end goal is to capitalize all of these names. We're going to modify this list with a for loop. To start this off, a common way to modify lists is with the range function. So what we'll do is we'll iterate through the range of this list and grab the index of each element. So we'll write for index in range, and the range will have our list length, and the argument will be the names list. The range will be the length of our names list. If you remember from before, range takes in a start index and a stop index. In this case, all we put in was a stop index, which right now equals 3, the length of our list. Since we omitted the start index, Python will assume a start index of 0 that goes all the way till 2. Why 2? Why not 3? The length is 3. Remember, the stop index is exclusive, meaning that the range will stop at the number that's previous to it. Therefore, the range will go from 0 to 2, which matches the indices on our list, 0, 1, and 2. If you're not too sure how start, stop, and step works, make sure to revisit the slicing lecture. Anyways, if we print index, indeed the result given is exactly what's predicted. We can actually use the index of each element to point to that element that's in our list and capitalize it. To do so, write names index is equal to names index dot title. The method title returns a copy of the string in which first characters of all the words are capitalized. So in the first iteration, the index is 0, which means that we're pointing to the first element in our list, Hillary. We're going to modify the first element of the list to make it equal to a capitalized version of Hillary, thanks to the title method. This loop is then going to iterate twice more and do the exact same thing for Diana and Brian. After the for loop, once you're done modifying the list, we're going to print names. Notice how there's no indentation here, because this print statement will occur after the for loop. It doesn't belong to it. Let's run the code. And there you have it. It iterates through the list 3 times, capitalizes each element, and then prints the updated version. That is all for looping through lists. This video has gone on long enough, so we'll take a break, and in the next video, we'll look at how we can iterate through dictionaries. I will see you then.